Fox. And I guess what I mean is like, even if there are jabs at the parents, they're not written good enough lines for comebacks.
Right.
Right? Or they end up talking themselves in a circle to make it.
Right.
The show is a weird point of view, I think. I know what it's trying to do. It's like, what is the challenge if you are two liberal parents raising a very conservative kid?
Right.
Like that, so it's like, okay, so then the shows take a point of view, is that because I felt like Alex was the thing.
I agree. I think you're right. And maybe they did specifically dumb down the character, the parents.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It could very well be that they were dumbing them down to make them seem silly.
Mm-hmm.
Or their beliefs are silly. I don't know. I feel like I'd have to watch more to even get like a real opinion on that, because the first 7, I don't know. It probably established it more as it moved forward.
Yeah, and Reagan was the president at the time,
right?
So maybe they were careful with that, right? Because like Michael J. Fox, Alex P. Keaton was a huge Reagan fan,
mm-hmm.
so maybe they were like, we can't have Alex be the butt of, like, you can make fun of Alex, but not about that.
Yeah, back then
you couldn't get away with
make fun of the presidency.
Right.
It was really frowned upon back then.
I did like the little nod to like the parents having the huts for each other, because I don't think I'd ever seen that up till Family Ties, mm-hmm. and I don't really think I've seen it since Family Ties.
Right. Well, they were so modern, right?
Yeah,
they were like modern. I did write. I mean, almost. I think every episode Mallory walks in on them. Yeah. And at one point, I think it was episode 5. Yeah, I said number 5. Mallory walking in on hugging and kissing is getting old, like because they just did it too. It was just too much.
But
we get it, haha.
But remember, you're watching it. You're maраthoning it, right? You're binging it. So maybe it was like I thought it was funny that it was always Mallory.
It was always, that's true.
That's made me laugh.
I also felt like at the beginning, I thought the age difference between Elise and Steven seemed really large.
Oh, really?
It's like at first, it seemed like it. I mean, maybe the gray hairs just threw me off or something, but it just seemed like they were, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I did. Speaking of age issues, I've never seen the movie Endless Love, but remember that they're doing family movie night and they were going to see Endless Love. Oh
yes, I did. I noticed that, and I thought
but that was just for the joke. Like that was because Alex had just broken up with the college girl in episode 4, and it's like. And he's like, oh, she just broke my heart. Blah, blah, blah. Well, he's like, well, come to the movies with us, Alex. What are you seeing? Endless Love.
Yeah, that was rated
Jennifer,
R.
Right.
That was definitely rated R.
Jennifer to see Endless Love.
Yeah.
You're bringing Mallory to see Endless Love.
True.
I thought it was interesting that they were drinking soda at the party when the parents left. They're like,
so interesting. I know. I noticed that right away. Like, that was not, it's not something you would see now. They would break out the beer.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they just threw a party. Just like this innocent party with soda.
It was super innocent. And also, it was funny that, like, the 3 of them got excited. Like, Alex, I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, I don't think I'd want my little sister around.
Well, they only had soda, so.
Yeah, that's right.
I will say about that, that was the second episode, I think, with the party. Yes, it was the second episode because I wrote because she went off with the guy and then Alex was nervous and she came back and she had like this big speech.
Yeah.
And all I wrote was I was so happy that Mallory's speech didn't garner applause because I think that would have happened like further on. It was like such a designing women type of
oh my God, you're
moment.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that was like such a relief not to have like this applause from the studio audience when she like told off Alex or whatever.
Actually,
told off the guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
And actually, that's really funny because I feel like there are those moments in the show that set up those things. Like even with Elise, so in episode Uncle Arthur, episode 6, when Elise, she's telling Mallory, she's like, you have to. And this is where I was like, it's such an important sort of speech that Elise gives.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why do I don't quite buy the mother-daughter connection. Am I crazy?
So I felt almost every episode I felt that same way, that it was a little thin.
Okay.
And maybe it was because it was a half hour and they're just feeling themselves out and they were really, I don't know.
What do you mean? You mean that you feel like they weren't related at all?
I felt like the chemistry was so off.
Off, yeah. Between
all of them, really. But yeah, I mean, but I felt like, when I'm saying thin, I felt like the conversations, the meat of the conversation on something like this, like the creepy author guy, it was just thin. Like, it was like missing a layer. It happened too quick. And then it was like, okay, let's go. And I think that's what differentiates it from what we'd hear today.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean by thin.
Yeah. I think what got me was like, everything Elise is saying is right. It's actually a very good, like, really timely. It's very timely.
So I wrote that really relevant.
Really super relevant.
I'm so shocked that so much of this is so relevant from...
Well, like, unchanged.
Right.
Like, where's, like, they're recycling the newspapers and that whole spiel.
It's so funny.
It's like, I think it was episode 3. And like, but there's a lot of these things with this, like, idea of saving the world thing. But also it's like, women having to speak up for themselves. And it's like, wow, we really have not...
We've not budged.
We haven't come very far. Like, women still have to, fight, and it's like, and it kind of made me a little sick. Yeah. And it was like, and to have Elise finish this great speech, which I'm like, wow, that's still super relevant now. But I'm like, and yet I don't feel like she's talking to her daughter. I feel like she's talking to, like, her friend, like her girlfriend.
Sure.
Like, oh, girl, you have to stick up for yourself. You have to tell people. But then Mallory says, has it ever happened to you? And she goes, oh yeah, and I just hid in my room. And I'm like, and I get it, like, yeah, you always, hindsight's 20/20, you always wish you could be super strong in the moment, but often that's not the case, and you do feel, shame or whatever, and that kind of thing. But I just feel like, holy crap, this is you're telling your mother, and your mother's like, fight back, girl. Like, it's like, well, Mom, help me.
Right. Right.
Right? Because it's like, and then I think does she say, do you want me to talk to him?
Yeah, she ended up talking to Arthur for her. Because it was on camera. It was behind.
She's strangling. And it was like, and she's like physically assaulting him.
Physically assaulting him.
Yeah.
But I did think, if we want to talk about that episode, I feel like it was obviously very relevant to, like, the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fantastic episode for Justine. I thought she was really
good in it. Yes.
Really good in it.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that it felt very real, because when, of course, no one believes her that she's being basically molested. Not molested, but like...
No, she's being groped and kissed.
From a quote, Uncle Arthur. I don't think it was a real blood uncle. It was a friend, but they called him Uncle Arthur. Yeah. But I liked that the first thing people were saying, are you sure? Like, that can't be true. It's Uncle Arthur. Yeah. And that's the first gut reaction, and I think that's very typical.
Super believable.
Very typical. And I love that she felt relieved that she was being misunderstood. She's like, oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad I'm wrong about this. And it's such a real reaction.
It felt I really loved that episode.
Very real reaction.
It felt very real.
And then this is another example of what I'm talking about, like, in terms of the thinness. Okay. Is, it was a great episode. It was a great episode for her. She really, delved into a lot of things. And then, like, the whole, the resolution with Uncle Arthur, and he blames his divorce. Like, okay... So that's okay. Like, he was actually saying, I don't know, I've been crazy ever since my divorce.
Okay, like, super controversial. I actually thought that was really interesting.
Really?
I really did. Because it's like, they were still saying, you need help.
Right.
That was explicitly clear. But I thought it was fascinating for truly what you're talking about is the idea of, like, oh wait, that makes it okay. But how many times have we seen this story where the guy has no excuse other than he's a pervert?
Right.
And not that I'm saying, like, it's a valid excuse. I guess what I'm saying is, like, I've never seen a show try and do that. where
It
it's
was-
like
it was weird that they would do
It was
that.
weird they would do that.
But then they
it
didn't
does
like
explain-
follow up after that. It was just that was it. Like
what
that
it-
was.
But I think what it explains is like, because I think, all right. So here's the thing. Uncle Arthur, we have not met him, right? It's a new show. It's episode 6. It's this Uncle Arthur guy. So what they probably had to do is say, wait a minute, you're telling me this guy just starts, making out with Mallory out of the clear blue for no reason, because all the guys, at NBC at this day and age, in the 80s, are all these rich white guys that probably
Right.
have very young, I shouldn't speculate, but, have these young girlfriends or, whatever. And they're like, wait, so why is he making out with this young girl? It's like, oh, well, he's going through divorce. And like, got it. It's like, there needs to be, like, I think everyone has, like, I think they had to give him a jump start, like this Arthur character, because I imagine someone like going, oh my god, well, has he always been like this? What about Jennifer? Like, and like what I thought, and so I, weirdly enough, and I hear myself saying this, I appreciated this quote unquote reason for his sudden jump start and this weird behavior with Mallory. This is it's completely unacceptable, and you're exactly right. The point is, it doesn't matter. And even after his big thing, like, oh, my wife and my divorce, and oh god, I'm making moves on anything that passes my, then it's like, fine, not excused.
Right.
There's no excuse. And I thought it was very interesting. I've never seen a show do that before. Certainly not a sitcom.
Yeah.
This is from the 80s, I understand. But, like, I don't think we'd even get a reason now. It's like, oh, you're just a pervert. And
Right. You just fired.
but it's like, because it is still ultimately Steven's friend. They have this long history together.
Well, yeah, and that's the part that really kind of bothered me about it. I just didn't buy that was the reason that it was, regardless of what it was. And I was expecting them to kind of confront him on that. I mean, this is not just it's not like it was a coworker or a secretary or something. This was a family friend's daughter.
Right.
So imagine, you
Watch
with,
it.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. It's you with Naomi's Mallory. It would be like that. Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not right. It doesn't make sense because they're family friends.
But I think that's the point. It's not, okay, if he didn't say the thing about the divorce, right? If he's like, yeah, I don't know, sorry. Like, it's super fucked up and disturbing, right? And it is still disturbing. But I think what they're trying to get this Arthur character to do is like be like, what does he think his reasoning is? Mm-hmm. You really don't get that. It's always like you watch something nowadays and it's like, guy's a pervert, report him.
Well, especially with like a secondary character, like a guest.
Yes, he exists for one episode.
Yeah.
And I think that I was super interested in that element because it was like, oh my god, they're really trying to give him an excuse right now, and I was shocked, but in a really positive way. I was like, oh wow, they're really trying to help. They're trying to help him dig his way out, but the answer is still the same.
Right.
You need help, and that was completely clear. And I did actually appreciate the show giving this one episode character his own self-analysis to why he thought he'd be, because I think if he was just pervert, they wouldn't have let them near the kids in the first place. You would have picked up on something earlier than this, because this is a snap. This is what I'm saying. The snap of Uncle Arthur. Like, he makes him of a Mallory in 5 seconds flat.
Well,
like,
not only that,
out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
Yeah.
Not only that, he does it twice.
No, I know.
Even after she's talking to him about it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no problem.
And
shakes his hand and then kisses her again.
It's so disturbing.
Like,
it's really sick.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he hadn't done it the second time, I would almost be like on board with you with the whole like divorce, and that's probably what it is. But
no, I'm not saying.
No, obviously you use that as an excuse, and you think it's okay. If you get divorced, you can just jump into bed with a 15-year-old.
It is never okay. I'm saying I appreciate the show.
I understand what you're saying.
Presenting this just to shoot it down.
I'm just joking. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was. I just did.